All right, so today we're really going deep. We're taking a look at Proverbs chapter 5.
Proverbs 5, yeah.
We've got a script here that really breaks this down, and it's fascinating.
Oh, it's a juicy one.
Yeah,
It really is.
it is. It's about, wisdom and temptation and consequences.
Yeah. And specifically infidelity,
Yeah, that's right.
which, is something that's been around forever, obviously.
Always a hot topic.
Always, always.
Yeah.
And, this chapter, it's not just like some list of rules.
Yeah, it's got a lot of imagery and, poetry to it, and it really kind of like,
It gets at the heart, doesn't it?
it really does.
It gets at the heart of like what's going on in your mind and your heart when you're facing these kinds of choices.
Yeah, and it starts right off the bat with this really vivid description of this adulterous woman.
Yeah.
Lip strip, honey.
Speech smoother than oil,
Yeah, and so it paints this picture.
right? It's very sensory, isn't it?
Very sensory, very alluring, right?
Like, why do you think the writer chose that kind of language?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like they're trying to make it appealing or something.
Right, exactly. Like they're trying to make you feel that temptation, like really get inside the head of someone who's being drawn in. And I think that's pretty clever because
It draws you in as a reader
exactly.
to really
It makes you pay attention.
understand what's at stake here. Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes it relatable because we all face temptation.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Whether it's, that extra slice of cake like I was saying or,
Mhm.
Something a little bit more serious.
Risky.
Yeah. So I think it's really effective.
So then it's like it takes this hard left turn.
Yeah.
And it's like, bam.
The other shoe drops.
Bitter as gall, sharp as a double-edged sword.
Her feet go down to death.
Right. It gets really intense really quickly.
Pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah. So what do you think about that?
Well, I think it's meant to be like a wake-up call.
Well,
Like, hey, temptation might seem sweet at first,
right.
but there are consequences.
It's like serious consequences. It's not just about, getting caught or getting in trouble.
Right.
It's about the damage that it does.
To yourself and others.
Exactly. To yourself, to your relationships, to everything.
Yeah, and so then obviously that raises the question, well then how do we avoid those consequences?
Right. Yeah.
But what can we do? And the writer gives some very specific advice here.
Yeah. Some practical advice.
Like keep to a path far from her.
Drink water from your own cistern.
And that's interesting imagery, right?
What do you make of that?
Well, it sounds like it's about boundaries,
Yeah. It's about being mindful, being intentional.
Yeah.
About where you're getting your satisfaction from.
Right.
Like your own cistern. That's what you've built.
It's something you've cultivated. Yeah.
That's what you've nurtured. That's what you can rely on.
And it's yours.
Exactly. And so I think the message there is like, invest in the things that are truly valuable.
Right, the things that are lasting, the things that are life-giving.
Yeah, and so then we get to this part where it's almost like a confession. This person who's made some mistakes is looking back and saying, how I hated discipline.
I was soon in serious trouble.
I didn't listen to my teachers.
It's like they're hitting rock bottom, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really raw moment.
A lot of regret there.
Yeah, a lot of regret. And why do you think the writer included that?
I think it's to show us the emotional cost of those choices.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not just about the external consequences. There's
Yeah.
this internal turmoil that happens.
Guilt, the shame.
Exactly. And I think that's something that we don't often talk about.
But it's real.
But it's so real, and it can be so debilitating.
And so then, I mean, you think, okay, this is bleak.
It's a pretty dark picture.
It's heavy, but then it shifts again.
It does.
And it's like, okay, this is what you should be striving for.
This is the good stuff.
Rejoice in the wife of your youth.
A loving doe, a graceful deer.
Let her breasts satisfy you always.
Be intoxicated with your love.
Like, wow, okay. That's a very different tone.
It's passionate, isn't it?
It is. It's like
celebrating the beauty of a committed, loving relationship.
Yeah, and it's contrasted so starkly with
the emptiness and the destruction of infidelity.
Yeah.
And I think that's intentional, right?
It has to be.
It's like the writer's saying, look, this is what you're missing out on.
If you go down that other path.
Yeah, this is the real deal. This is where true joy and fulfillment are found.
Yeah, this is what you were made for.
And it's not just about the physical pleasure.
Right.
It's about that deep connection, that emotional intimacy.
Yeah. And so it's almost like, it's a warning, but it's also an invitation. It's like, choose wisely.
Choose life.
And then it ends with this reminder.
Yeah.
For your ways are in full view of the Lord.
And he examines all your paths.
And what do you make of that?
Well, for some people that might sound a little bit scary.
Big Brother's watching?
Yeah, like you're always being watched. But I think it's more about,
Accountability?
yeah, accountability and also like a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
Like your life matters. Your choices matter.
Yeah, right.
They have an impact.
And even if you think you're getting away with something,
There's a bigger picture.
someone sees.
Someone sees. And, ultimately you see.
You have to live with yourself.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I think, Proverbs 5, it's a lot to unpack.
It's a dense chapter.
It's a lot of imagery, a lot of emotion.
And wisdom packed in there. And, it's really about making choices that lead to life.
That lead to flourishing.
Yeah, that lead to joy and fulfillment.
And I think that's something that we all want.
We all want that.
Whether we realize it or not.
Yeah, and so I think, as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, it's really about asking ourselves, what are the cisterns in our life? What are the sources of life-giving water that we're drawing from?
What are the things that truly nourish our souls?
And are we investing in those things?
Are we tending to our own gardens?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
So yeah, I think that's a good place to leave it.
Yeah, some food for thought.
Definitely some food for thought.
Thanks for diving in with me.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was fun.
Always a good time.
Always.
All right, we'll see you next time.
See you later.